Hi, today we are going to learn a little bit about the history of Thanksgiving. It says each November, Americans celebrate the harvest and feast shared by the Pilgrims and Native Americans. This celebration is known as Thanksgiving. Families come together to spend time with one another and to think about what they are thankful for. Thanksgiving, however, has a history that includes more than a delicious feast. The first Thanksgiving took place in an area that is now known as Massachusetts. The Native American people from the Wampanoag tribe had inhabited this land for thousands of years. These people were quite skilled. They were both hunters and gatherers. They fished on the water banks and hunted in the dense forests. They gathered berries and nuts. They also worked the land to create fertile ground for farming. The Wampanoags used canoes to travel up and down the river for fishing. The lives of the Wampanoag people changed forever in the winter of 1620, when the arrival of a group of European settlers. These settlers had taken the long journey across the Atlantic Ocean in hopes of separating from the Church of England. These people were known as separatists or pilgrims. Before they arrived in the New World, the Pilgrims had fled to Holland in hopes of escaping religious persecution in England. However, they were unsuccessful. The Native Americans had traded with Europeans before, but these Europeans were different. The Pilgrims wanted to stay and settle on Wampanoag land. The ship the Pilgrims traveled on was called the Mayflower. The Mayflower carried around 102 men, women, and children. Upon their arrival in 1620, the Pilgrims faced an extremely harsh winter. Many of the settlers died because of the unfavorable conditions. Thankfully, several Native Americans visited the settlers. Two of these men were named Squanto and Samoset. They had engaged in trade with Europeans in the past, and they spoke English. The Native Americans taught the settlers how to survive on the land. They showed them how to grow corn and other crops. The Native Americans also helped the Pilgrims fertilize their fields. After a year of living in their new homes, the Pilgrims made an agreement with the Native Americans stating that they would protect one another from other tribes. By the time the fall came around, the Pilgrims had enough food to survive the winter, thanks to the help provided by the Native Americans. To celebrate the successful harvest, the Pilgrims organized a feast. The feast lasted for 3 whole days. The meal included a variety of meats, vegetables, and shellfish. At the feast, the Pilgrims thanked the Native Americans for their efforts. They played music and games as well. Unfortunately, this cordial relationship between the Wampanoag people and the Pilgrims was short-lived. Thanksgiving didn't officially become a national holiday until 1863. President Abraham Lincoln was in office at the time, and he actually created 2 Thanksgivings. The first holiday was held in August. This holiday commemorated the Battle of Gettysburg, which was an important battle fought during the Civil War. The second Thanksgiving took place in November, and it was created to celebrate general blessings. The second Thanksgiving is the one we continue to celebrate today. Families gather together on this day, and they feast on foods such as cranberries, stuffing, turkey, and mashed potatoes. There are many modern-day traditions that are associated with the Thanksgiving holiday. One of the most famous traditions is the Grand Parade, which is held in New York City. This parade is known as the Macy's Annual Thanksgiving Parade. This parade has been staged since 1924. It includes enormous helium-filled balloons featuring some of the world's most loved cartoon characters. People hold long cords connected to the balloons as they walk through the streets of the city. The parade also includes marching bands, floats, and musical performances. People from all over the country enjoy watching the parade on TV each Thanksgiving morning. One of the most famous balloon characters is Snoopy the dog. Other Thanksgiving traditions. Many families take part in breaking the turkey's wishbone as part of their holiday celebration. 2 people pull on either side of the bone and make a wish. The person that ends up with the longer side of the bone after it breaks is said to have their wish come true. A lot of families also gather around the TV to watch NFL teams play football games against one another on Thanksgiving. Other families have a football game in their backyard. People sometimes refer to this game as the Turkey Bowl. Each year, at a White House celebration, the President of the United States traditionally pardons a turkey. This pardon allows a turkey to happily live out the rest of its days instead of being eaten. After reading today, you are going to complete the last page in this slideshow. It's about the vocabulary. So if you notice back in the vocabulary, look, it is highlighted. Okay? So you're going to find those words and decide what do each of those words mean. Remember to use some context clues. Then at the bottom, there are 2 think about it questions. Describe how religious persecution in England affected the lives of the Pilgrim people. If you want to reread about that, that is at the beginning of the booklet. And then, do you think you would have been able to survive the harsh winter the Pilgrims faced? Defend your answer. That means explain why or why not. So if you would like to reread our story, it is at the top. The first slides are their story, and then the last slide is your assignment. So to get to your assignment, you'll need to scroll down to the last slide. Be sure to go back and use any context clues you see to help you remember how those words were used in the story.